Can I interrupt y'all for just a second? Then I'll let you continue talking. We need y'all to just squeeze in as close as possible towards the window so those who come in can just sit right on down. I notice there's some nice conversation going on out there. But good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to have y'all here this morning. It is a special day. It is homecoming, so welcome home. And it is a great day for me to do announcements because I can recognize the man that I learned everything from, Mr. Lee Messer. He did announcements before me, and he was magnificent. And I'm still to this day trying to get just as good as he is. But he is also here this morning, and he will lead our worship time as well. So, all right, visitors, welcome once again. Now, you visitors, if you have a bulletin in your hand, we would love for you to fill this little sheet of paper. It flaps back and forth inside your bulletin. Fill it out, rip it out, and put it in the offering plate. It'll come your way in a minute. And the rest of you grab your bulletins too. There's some things that are not in the bulletin that I need to tell you about. Alrighty, there will be no service this afternoon or this evening, so you may spend that time with your family, visit another church, whatever you would like to do. Also, something very important, since it's homecoming, we have our annual free all-you-can-eat buffet, and the specials for today is anything that you can imagine. So please come and eat, and it does not matter if you brought nothing, that doesn't matter. You come and eat with me and my friends. All of you visitors are welcome to come. All right. Now, during the lunch time that you will have, my youth will be handing out these mini sheets of paper. They are called poinsettia order forms. Now, the poinsettias are going to be a whole lot bigger this year, and they're $12 each. So please grab one of these from the youth during your lunchtime, fill it out, and that would be greatly needed to the youth funds. All right, this Tuesday night at 6:30, there will be a prayer meeting in the senior room. So if you'd like to be a part of that, come 6:30. Wednesday night, we will have a meal, and on the back of your bulletin, you may read along there and see what we are eating. Oh, great tacos. Okay, that tacos is great, so come. Wednesday night and eat at 5:45, and then after that we will have a church meeting. We want to do a Bethlehem reenactment. We were going to do it last Wednesday, but we weren't able to. We're going to have that meeting. If you would like to be a part of that, come and meet with us on Wednesday night. And I have a few people that need to make an announcement, so I'm going to let Jim make his announcement first, that handsome young man in the back. He's just going to stand from his seat.
A week ago yesterday, we had the JCOC annual tournament, golf tournament and festivities. And I just want to report to you that God gave us a beautiful day. We had a great time. And I want to thank him for that. I want to thank all of you who worked to make that a success, especially the ladies that baked the cake. We had a grand cake auction, and those who helped serve the food. And ask you, as you pass through Jacksonville, to stop at some of the restaurants. About 32 of them brought food out and fed a crowd of people. And we raised a little over $8,000 for the JCOC. This will be well used to give some underprivileged children a Christmas and some folks who need food to sustain them through this hard times. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job. And also I have Darren and Ronnie. They need to make an announcement as well. And then after that, Emily Duncan needs to do so.
On behalf of Coach Davis and all the coaching staff and the boys that play football for Pleasant Valley, we'd like to thank the church for the wonderful meal that you fed us on Thursday night. There was enough food there to feed 2 football teams, I hear. Coach Davis and I were scouting Susan Moore at the time. I wish we could have been here, but thank you so much, not just for the food on Thursday night, but your prayers and support. We can feel them with us when we're out there, and I knew that there were probably places where you got this kind of support and love from your football team and your school and your community, but I didn't really experience it till I came to Pleasant Valley. So I'm tickled to be here. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
First of all, the College and Career Group wanted to thank Buford and Lola Jean for letting us have our Halloween party there at the Golden Saw last night. And then we wanted to also make an announcement that this Thursday, the College and Career are going to have a snack in the CMC, and so I expect to see all of you there for some fun and fellowship. Thanks.
All righty, thank you. And then one more announcement. There are some sign-up sheets at every exit, I believe. If you would like to be a part of the mission trip coming up, if you would like any information, ask Wendell and sign your name on that sheet. All righty, there's some people that I need to give some hugs to and shake hands, so let's do that real quick.
Good deal. That's okay. John.
Glad you came to help Williams have their birthday party today.
Amen. Amen.
We're celebrating 158 years. And as I look out over the audience, I see we've got some people that have come back home this morning. So welcome, welcome to everybody. I just want to make a few comments about our church history. You've got a little booklet in your bulletin today that kind of lists all the activities and events that we experienced during this past year. We've got our babies and our showers and a point of reference for you to look back whenever you want to sometimes. And then we've got some items of interest for display. As you come in the foyer, we've got some old photographs out there. One is Miss Audrey's Uncle Da, who donated the land for the first school, and he was the first school teacher because it just had one room. And so we've got that out there. We've also got some photographs in the Christian Ministry Center foyer that you can look at. But my pride and joy is in the library. We've got scrapbooks galore in there, dating way back with photographs. Jeannie and I were looking, I believe it was Friday, at some 1971 groundbreaking photos. And honestly, some of you I didn't recognize. So this would be interesting viewing for you. And also, our ladies in the painting class, Miss Dassinger, has got a display in the senior room. So you want to stop by in there and take a peek at the hard work these ladies do, because that's, to me, it was very challenging to paint a picture. But we've got a project going on in the church that I'm so excited about. Here between the sanctuary and the daycare is a little breezeway, and we are now going to have a memory garden there. And I've asked my sister, Miss Audrey, to come and tell you about this little memory garden.
Well, I guess y'all noticed who they asked to talk about the past. That's where my memory is now, is in the past. But the memory garden was created for all of you. Do you know what a legacy we have in this church? Last Sunday we talked about the future. Today I want to talk about the past, because we have so many people that have gone on to their reward, that were the ones that built this church and made it, helped to make it what it is today. And the memory garden was created for all of you that have loved ones that belong to this church, that have already gone on, and you would like to have a token of your memory. We have, if you've been out there, we have bricks that can be removed and a brick put in the place that is engraved with your loved one's name on it and the date of their birth and the year that they died. We think this is a way to honor the ones that have gone on before. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Audrey. And again, we are so thrilled to have each and every one of you here, and hope you enjoy your homecoming. Thank you.
There you go. How about that?
He's a clown, isn't he? Every year we have staff appreciation week and month, and we couldn't get it in last Sunday because we had so much to do, but we do want to appreciate our staff. Anybody that has a job, you know we have a turnover rate. Well, these guys and gals won't leave, so we've got a good problem. We've got 9 on staff. Lori McFall is in the nursery right now. Hey, Lori, I have your check. I'll bring it to you. But we really do appreciate our staff. Lori's been back there 2 or 3 years, and Marilyn and George, for you visitors, that's Miss Marilyn, that's Mr. George. They've been playing a long, long time. Nikki, I mean, everybody that's a youth I mean, we're so blessed. Youth turnover, staff, we've had Nikki on staff 8 or 9 years. 8, and that's unheard of. If you go to any church, you'll find the youth director, they don't stay long. Well, we love our youth and love our Miss Nikki, and she won't leave. We don't want her to leave, and we're just so blessed that we have somebody taking care of our good folks, our young folks, and without a good leader, good strong leader like her, where would our youth be? And we're very blessed. Mr. Roy, I mean, he's been here forever and just takes good. He is the past, like you said. We're very blessed. I mean, we don't have turnover, and I hope to say it forever and ever. And Miss Green, she writes our check. Miss Green, it was hard for you to not know you're getting a surprise because you wrote the check, wasn't it? Miss Floyd, I have one also for you. And up in the crow's nest, Mr. Duncan, the man of few words. I've got you a nice check, and so I'm going to make sure I give everybody. And, just like the football team, volleyball team, cross-country team, you've got to have a great leader. And y'all know this man has finally got his doctorate degree. We finally got him through school, and he just, it took us forever to get him that out. And he wasn't on the 3-year, 4-year plan. But anyway, we've got a great man in charge, Dr. Mike Oliver. So I'm going to give everybody a check. But do you mind standing up and giving these guys and gals a round of applause? Because without them leading us, we wouldn't be where we are today. Thank you.
Somebody asked one of the church members a couple of weeks ago, how long Roy been here? You said too long. That's not true. Thank you. It's been a blessing. It's been a great ride. And you probably going to be the only choir director in Canada got a 90-year-old choir director. I'm not sure about that. But who said that? Who said that? About 23, going on 24 years, I believe it is. So it's been a great, it don't seem that long, but it has been. I keep up with stuff in the paper and on the newspaper. We can't let the day go by without congratulating a few folks. Of the girls' volleyball team from Pleasant Valley, of the guys' football made state. If you're involved in any one of these programs, stand for us. Okay, come on, kids. Come on. Don't be embarrassed. Come on. Here. Come in the back. Coaches, all the coaches. Coaches, stand, please. Coaches. Cross. All right, while we got big man up here, let's hear it for the cross country. I don't know a lot about it, but let's give a big hand for the cross country. Come on, stand up, guys, girls. Come on. We got 2 or 3. And I don't believe we have anyone that plays for Jacksonville High School, but we got some Jacksonville High School folks. Congratulations to Jacksonville High School, 2 years in a row, state volleyball girls champion. Let's hear it for Jacksonville High School. And I know you've done it. Folks, I'm proud of a lot of things. I am so proud of this choir. Let's hear it for them. Let's give it up for them. The best is yet to come. Victory in Jesus, 473. But the offertory, we're going to sing the first verse only. First verse and chorus. Stand with us, please, as we join in singing.
welcome to our anniversary, 158 years, our homecoming, 2008. This is an older church with a young heart and a strong, vibrant ministry, and I'm so proud to be here. Rex, appreciate, on behalf of the staff, your support. One of the reasons our church staff members stay here, besides their calling, is a sense of support that we receive. It's a great place, a great church to serve and work at, and we thank you so much for your show of appreciation to us today. This is a special day for us, and I've just been so excited about everything that's going on already. Having our history presentation was wonderful. I love hearing from you two. Anytime you get up and speak, it's just beautiful and wonderful words, so thank you so much. I know it was a lot of hard work on the History Committee's part to get that ready. I'm excited about our memory garden. It really looks good, and you've employed slave labor with Lamar, and he's done a good job working out there, and others, so I hope everybody will take a chance to look out there and see the progress that's been made on that beautiful, reflective place that we'll have at our church here. The choir has been outstanding today, hasn't they? And the music, Sean, and our musicians, y'all have done a wonderful job, but there's nothing like seeing Roy walk the streets of gold in Jerusalem. I get to see up here. Did y'all see him walking the streets of gold? You know, you just need to watch him direct a choir. And I was shaking even a couple times with those foot stomps that he had. So it's been a wonderful day. I just want to simply introduce our speaker today to you. Some of you may not know Lee Messer, who is our Minister of Education here for several years. I forgot to ask you how many years you were on staff here, but you were here at the church about 20 probably. 25 years. Lee was on the search committee that called Mary and me and my family here to Williams, and was a wonderful person for us, a friend for me personally, and very helpful to our church, and a good, wise leader for our congregation. Did a great job doing announcements, as Nikki said. Nikki, you followed in good footsteps there. And we're so glad that you're here. I wanted to catch everybody up a little bit on Lee's family, because a lot of y'all are here. Christopher and Christy are in Maryland, and so they're not able to be here. They have 2 kids, and Carrie and Lisa are here. They also have 2 children. They live in Macon, Georgia. We're glad you're here. Katie and Anna live in Birmingham, and so we're glad that y'all are here. Thank you for coming back and being home with us, and I hope everybody get a chance to catch up with them. Lee sent me a little information about everybody, which I'm not going to share, y'all, just in case. But I will read this. I thought this was good. He said, my favorite wife, Elizabeth, which is his only wife, by the way, but anyway, is still keeping me in line. Elizabeth, we're glad you're here. Lee says in his email to me that he is fully retired. You know, he was superintendent, taught at Jackson, on top of many of y'all, superintendent at Jackson High School, and helped them in the transition to building the new school that they enjoy today, and then was superintendent in Talladega and did an outstanding job under tough circumstances, but now is fully retired, he says, except that he is the chair of the deacons at First Baptist Talladega, head of the department in Sunday school, teaches a class, and then he puts other stuff. So I'm sure you're quite busy still. Lee is a blessing and a wonderful person, a great Christian man that I admire very much. I'm so glad you could come and bring us a good message today. So Lee, I invite you to come and read Scripture for us now. Welcome back home.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning. I'll stop at that. I'll have some more to say directly, but I would like to share with you the first part of our Scripture for this morning out of Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. I'm reading from the Message. I like to have things in a language I can understand. And I love the King James, but then for understanding, for getting the feel of it, I love the Message and some other contemporary translations. Jesus responded by telling still more stories. God's kingdom, he said, is like a king who threw a wedding banquet for his son. He sent out servants to call all of the invited guests, and they would not come. He sent out another round of servants, instructing them to tell the guests, look, everything is on the table. The prime rib is ready. Come to our feast. They only shrugged their shoulders and went off to weed the garden or tend to their shop. The rest of them, with nothing better to do, beat up on the messengers and then killed them. The king was outraged, so he sent his soldiers to destroy those thugs and level their city. Then he told his servants, we have a wedding banquet all prepared, but no guests. The ones I invited were not up to it. Go out into the busiest intersections in town. Invite anyone you can find to the banquet. The servants went out on the streets and rounded up everyone they laid eyes on, good, bad, Jew, Gentile, regardless. So the banquet was on and the building was full. When the king entered the building, he looked around and saw one man who was not properly dressed. And the king said to him, "Friend, how dare you come in here looking like that?" The man was speechless. The king told his servants, "Get him out of here fast. Tie him up and ship him back to hell. And make sure he doesn't come back in." That's what I mean when I say many get invited, but only a few shall make it. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. Wow, I had forgotten what we had here. Every time we come back, and too often we come back for other reasons, but it's great to come back where everybody is joyous, everybody's happy. There's so much good going on. To hear the music, to hear the choir, musicians, to see the people. And it's funny, everybody else in Jacksonville and Williams has aged except for y'all. I don't know, y'all must have that good water here. Everybody else got into the bad water. But we're here for homecoming. And to be here for homecoming, whether it's you, me, my family, whomever, you must have had a home at one time there or have roots there. So everybody that is here is coming home or you have roots. You must have been here at one time or another. I'm not going to get into a lot of the things I've said from this pulpit. I will say one thing, and some of y'all may remember. Rule number 1, don't bark in church. Yeah. I heard a sermon several months ago from a man that was on death's door. To look at him, you would think, wow, he's fine. But he could literally drop dead any minute. And in his sermon, he gave a short statement about 2 words. The words got and if. And it's really had an impact on me. First, the word if. He said, whenever we apologize to somebody, if we say, if I offended you, then the apology is not good. Because if the person is upset, they are offended. I am sorry I offended you, not if I offended you. So if we can take the word if out of apologies. And then second, replace the word got with get. How many times have we said, I've got to go to work. I got to cut the grass. Well, how about, man, I get to go to work. I can get out and cut the grass. I get to do things that other people may not be able to. So drop the word if and substitute get for got. And it's amazing how it will change your perspective. A man in this parable was having a wedding feast for his son. And of course, we all realize this is about God, his son, and the marriage of his son to the church. But an invitation was sent out, not to certain people, but to all people eventually. Have you ever sent out invitations? RSVP? I love this day on email. You can send somebody something by email, and then you can tell in many cases if they've opened that email, if you tag it in a certain way. Snail mail still works pretty good, but you can find out in a hurry who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. If not, pick up the phone, pick up the cell phone. We know. But think back 2,000 years, before the internet, before Joe Rumor. That's an old one. Before all the communications, the only way to get the word out was by word of mouth. And so the king sent out his servants to invite the people. In those days, a wedding ceremony would take place on about 7 days, sort of like a Williams buffet here. Many invitations were sent out. Initially, the first invitation would go out, say, hey, we're going to have something. The next invitation would go out, it's ready, come on down. But with this king, he sent out the first invitation and the second. Nothing happened. Not only that, the people he sent the invitation to began to beat up on the messengers, or the prophets, the men of God. They even killed some of them. The invited people, the chosen people, chose not to come. And so then the king says, go out and invite anybody you can see. We've got food here, no refrigeration, no Freon. We've got to eat the food, sort of like over here. The messengers went out and came back with all sorts of folk. I can imagine looking out among that crowd. It may not look like a typical Baptist church. On the other hand, it may look like a typical Baptist church. People of all varieties, all kinds. And as the man looked out, the king looked out, he saw one man was not dressed. Now, back in those days, it was custom that when you came to a party like that, particularly of somebody of means, you would be provided what to wear. Because most folk only had what they had on. Because if you had to change clothes, where are you going to stand when you're changing? A lot of folks didn't have regular homes as we know them. Also, the attire for a formal wedding was much stricter than, say, for plowing. So the garments were provided. Well, one man showed up, no garment on. He could have gotten it. You might say he was a party crasher. He was denied and sent away. That's where we are with our Christianity. We are invited by God. We have to accept this invitation by God. At the same time, we have to be willing to really accept that in our heart, to clothe ourselves with the righteousness of Christ. That is the only way. If we come to church toting our Bibles, wearing our suits, but the last thing on our mind is God and His Son, then chances are we'll not eat at the banquet. Christ said, I am the road, also the truth. I am the light. Nobody gets to the Father apart from me. Now think about God, the most powerful force ever, I would say ever conceived, but God never was conceived. He was there to begin with. The most powerful force ever. And He's going to send His Son. Now, how do you send somebody of that glory and magnitude down to people who have no idea what's going on? I mean, even now, if we were to take some of our technology to third world countries, they would be shocked. Soren Kierkegaard told a story about a prince. A prince was going through the village one day. Soon he would be king, but right now he was just a lowly prince. And he saw this lady, a beautiful lady. And every day he would have his carriage driver go by where this lady worked, where she visited, to watch her. He knew she was single. She knew she could be married. But he had one problem. He knew that if he went over to that girl, says, hey, I'm the prince, going to be king one day, will you marry me? And she's a peasant. What would she say? Probably say yes. But what would the prince think? Well, did she marry me because I'm so handsome and good looking and such a wonderful guy? Or did she marry me because of my deep pockets, because of what I can offer? So the prince had an idea. He took off his robes, all of his niceties, put on the garb of a common person, and went out to that community, moved in, got a job like everybody else, lived and worked. Didn't have his Visa card with him. He had to survive on what he could do. And in time, he met this girl. They began to talk. They became friends. Eventually, they married. And that's when the prince says, hey, let me tell you the rest of the story. And I can imagine she was flabbergasted. But he knew good and well that she came to him because of who he was in here, not what he could have or offer in material possessions. We have a lot of anxiety in life. They say on a stress level, the death of a family member, a loved one, that's very high. Moving is very high. Changing jobs is very high. Changing schools is very high. Stress levels. And the disciples, as they were gathered with Jesus near those last days, they were sort of stressed out. They knew something was going to happen. Didn't know exactly what. And so the second part of the text this morning comes from John chapter 14, verses 1 through 7. Don't let this throw you. You trust God, don't you? Trust me. There is plenty of room for you in my Father's home. If that weren't so, I would have told you. and I'm on my way to get a room ready for you. And if I'm on my way to get your room ready, I will come back to take you where we can live. And you already know the road I'm taking." Thomas said, "Master, we have no idea where you're going. How do you expect us to know the road?" Jesus said, "I am the road, also the truth, also the life. No one gets to the Father apart from me." If you really knew me, you would know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him. You have even seen him, because they have seen Christ. And I'm sure in the minds of these disciples, everything began to churn, began to think. They didn't have the benefit of 2,000 years of Sunday school. And so they had to take everything at face value. In those days, when a person of means traveled, they would always send somebody ahead to be sure there was food, lodging, be sure the roads were straight and clear, available, be sure the robbers were not around. But somebody went ahead and prepared a room. Now the King James says abode, which is a very good word. And by the way, the abode doesn't necessarily mean mansion. It just means a place to live. But let me assure you, a place to live in heaven is some more mansion to what we have down here. Of course, what are we going to carry with us? A traveler going through Europe stopped to see a very famous priest. They thought, well, this priest is so wonderful. I bet his house is magnificent. So the traveler went in and got in the house. There was a chair. There was a pad on the floor. And that was it. No furniture, no belongings. And the traveler says, "I thought you were somebody important. I thought you were somebody big. Where's your stuff?" And so the priest says, "Well, traveler, where's your stuff?" And the traveler says, "Well, I'm just passing through." Well, the priest says, "Yes, I'm just passing through too. I'm not home yet." So as we go through our life, we're just passing through. But we wonder, as we pass through, what is there? I love the story of a doctor was examining a patient who was on death's door. And the patient was very apprehensive. I don't imagine, no matter how safe you are with your faith, you still, when you come to death's door, you have that high degree of anxiety. Sometimes it's leaving loved ones. Other times, you know you've done everything, but what's going to happen? Show me, Lord. Well, the doctor was talking to this man, and the man says, "Sir, tell me about what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going. I think I'm going to heaven, but I don't know what's going to be there. I don't know what it's like. Will I like it there?" And about that time, there was a scratching on the door. And the doctor looked up, went to the door, opened the door, and the man's dog came in. Back in those days, like when we first started coming to church here, people would park their trucks out in front of Williams and have the dogs in the back. I loved that. I loved it. But the doctor opened the door, the dog came in, the dog went to his owner and just jumped up on him, licked him, kissed him, just danced. And the doctor then said, "Sir, has your dog ever been here before?" "No, sir, he hasn't." "Well, why did your dog want to come inside?" "He's never been here before." "Well, because I'm his master. I was here." "Well, sir, your master is on the other side of the door." And, keep that in mind. Words can't describe heaven. The Bible tells us about streets of gold, silver, alabaster, and that's wonderful. But as I think Barry Howard and Mike have said, if God teaches everything so unmaterialistic, why would heaven be so materialistic? Well, it's because we've got to use words we understand. I could not describe heaven. I have no idea. But if somebody tells me it's got streets of gold and walls of alabaster and all this wonderful stuff, I must know it's a pretty good place. I would tell you the story about the guy who carried some gold with him, but I'll save that for later. How do I get to heaven? How do I get to heaven? How do I have a homecoming? There is no theological degree or educational level or number of years of Sunday school class required to go to heaven. Now, it's great to have that, okay? But, be careful, Mike. It's great to have that. But to be a Christian, one does not have to be a theologian. To be a Christian, all one has to do is accept Christ. Nothing else. Now, after we accept Christ, we like to learn a few things. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of religious people will not be in heaven. Think about that. A lot of religious people will not be in heaven. The people that were responsible for the crucifixion of Christ, the Pharisees and so forth, were they religious? Yeah, very religious. Having religion is not sufficient. You must have the faith, the love. It's got to be in here. As a matter of fact, Christ's disciples, were they a religious-looking bunch? No. They were ordinary, salt of the earth, hard-working, good men. Or became good men in some cases. It doesn't take piles of degrees. It doesn't take piles of education. It does take acceptance. But the path is very simple, very simple. All you have to do is say, Lord, I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. Now, in modern words, that means, Lord, I've made mistakes. I haven't lived up to what you expected me to do. Now, all of us are imperfect. When we die, and through Christ, we'll become perfect. But right now, we're not perfect. We're changing. If I stop changing today, and for the next 50 years, or whatever number of years I hang around, if I don't change anymore, that means I'm perfect right now. Well, I'm not. Far from it. But because we're changing, we have to change every day, improve. Then when death comes, Christ makes us perfect. But we have to admit we've made mistakes. And we have to be willing to turn from those mistakes. You know, very simple. Don't say, sister, I'm sorry I hit you, then turn around and hit her again. We've got to truly be sorry. When we apologize, we've got to say, I'm sorry I offended you. Not beautiful sound. Not if I offended you. Once we turn from sin, then we're on the right path. We've got to believe that Christ died for us and was resurrected. And then finally, and very simply, invite Christ to come into our heart. Christ comes unconditionally. No preconceived conditions. He says, let me come in and I'll do the rest. Now, if you put on your religious clothes and look religious, but never let him in, you may feel pretty good about yourself, but watch out for what may happen. How many of y'all have GPS devices in your car or at home? The little navigators? They're wonderful. And the nice thing about them, no matter where you're going, it'll get you there. If you have a route tracked in and you follow that route, but you get off the route, what does it tell you? Recalculating or something to that effect. It tells you how to get here starting where you got off, back over here. No matter where you go, that GPS system will get you back on the right track. And that's where if we have Christ in our hearts, when we get off track, He's going to tell us, He's going to nudge us, that ever so quiet voice. And then we have the option to get back on track. We also, unlike the Olympic skaters, now once an Olympic skater in the final competition falls, what happens to their chance of being number one? Minimal. Whereas a sinner, I'm a sinner, we're all sinners, if we fall, what does God do? Reaches down, picks us up. Keep on skating. Keep on skating. We start all over again. He puts us on track, and we head home. Christianity is not just an event where you accept Christ. That is important. That's the first step. But it's also a process where you try to become more like Christ, and you do that by behaving like Christ. Behaving like Christ. Now, what happens if you accept Christ and then don't try to incorporate Christ in your life? Imagine in the last Olympics, what if you saw on the 100-meter dash all these men or women lined up? They're on the mark. They've been training for years. They're ready to go. The gun sounds, and nobody moves. What would you think? Well, how many of us as Christians, we've done all the things, we're on the mark, but when the sign comes, let's do it, sometimes we fall short. We have to listen to God. We have to listen to Jesus. We're baptized. We worship. We fellowship. We forgive as Christ has forgiven us. In the New Testament it says, my yoke is easy. Christ says his yoke is easy. Now, easy is a funny word. Now, we think of easy, man, all laid back and just, well, it's my understanding, one of the interpretations of the word easy comes back from oxen. Whenever you had a team of oxen, you'd pair them up as a team. And then a carpenter would build the yokes and all the hardware to connect the oxen to their load. And that carpenter would prepare that yoke so perfectly that the wood would fit around the oxen's body and not have any high points or low points, be snug. It would fit. And so when that oxen pulled the load, he had to use his strength. He had to work. But that yoke being fitted for him, because it was easy, it made it a much better task in pulling the load. It's like it said on climbing a mountain. You can climb a mountain, no trouble. But try to walk 1,000 feet with a grain of sand in your shoe. The same with the oxen, the same with us. Do you want to have a homecoming? Do you want to go to heaven? One story goes of a bunch of cranes were down in the swamp. And these cranes with the long legs, sort of like my son's, and they would stick their head over in the swamp and dig snails out of the bottom of it. Raise their head up, chew up the snail and swallow it. Well, another crane came over and says, hey guys, do y'all know about Jesus? Do y'all know about heaven? Nah, what's in heaven? And so the other crane began to explain what's in heaven. And so the ones that are eating the snails in the swamp says, well, they got snails there. And the visiting crane says, no. Well, then I'll just stay here and eat my snails. I don't want heaven. Well, in this world, if we stay here and eat our snails, that's all we'll ever have. Christ has sent an invitation. The Bible is full of the invitations. The Bible asks us to come to Him unpretentiously. An Olympic racer years ago, back in the early days of the Olympics, back when the real Olympics occurred, had trained for a race, a marathon, and he was the best. Now, in those days, you got two things by being the first winner. You got flowers, maybe a laurel on your head, and then you got to stand beside the king to watch the rest of the event. That was all. People ran to participate, not for what they got. And some of the other runners went up to this very good runner and says, hey, what if I give you so many pieces of silver? Will you trip or not go? Or what if I give you some land? Will that get you to not stay in the race? Because they knew if he stayed in the race, he would win. And no matter how this runner was offered, he says, no, I'm going to race. So they had the race. He won. He got his flowers, then stood there by the king. And somebody said, look at all you could have had. And the runner says, yeah, but now I can stand beside my king. As we think about homecoming, we have to think about standing beside our king. whatever happens in this world, as far as our gains and our losses, that means nothing. That means nothing. What matters is how we go through this world, our attitude and our treatment of others. Do you want to have a homecoming? Have you put on your garments to go to that homecoming? If you haven't, please consider. If you had, there's always ample time to be sure everything's at the right place at the right time. I'm going to ask Mike now to stand up front as Roy and the musicians play. And if you feel like you want to go to heaven and haven't already got a reservation, or if you would like to rededicate yourself, or just if there are questions you may have, please come up and talk with Brother Mike.
"505, Love Lifted Me," 505, hymn of invitation. Stand with us, please, as we sing. Join us, please.
Roy was telling me, please don't go rushing in there till they are ready. I know the food's good, but it'll still be good time on it. Okay? So we'll allow them to thank y'all for doing that. I appreciate Lee being here, enjoyed that. It's good to hear your voice again, see your presence back up here. We're so glad your family's here, and I hope that y'all all get a chance to see them and talk to them. And you can get in line first for the privilege. So if you want to get up there, we welcome you. Yeah, well, it's not the whole thing. It's been a blessed day. Homecoming is about a lot of things, but he talked about, it's also about coming back to a place that we love, being here in fellowship, and worship together. Be a part of this family that you're always going to be a member of, no matter where you are or what you do. And thank you for your presence here today. May God bless us. Let's have our benediction now. Lord will lead us in that, and then we'll go leave, and that'll be our blessing for our meal today.
Mama Cloud, you words. You know, time up for
Father, we thank you for what we feel in our hearts. We can't begin to fathom or understand. It's that deep love and that sense of home. We thank you for Lee and his family here with us today. The others that are visiting is truly reminiscent of days past. And we know it's ahead of the homecoming that's waiting for each of us. When we'll be with those special friends that have passed on. We love you and thank you for our church family and our community, and may we continue, Lord, to savor the friendship and the love and the faith that you have here. However many days we have left, may truly our lives bring more of you, whatever day to come to the hope